I'm Sophie Howe, the Future Generations Commissioner for Wales. I'm sorry I can't be with you here in person, but wanted to share some of our experiences in being one of the first countries in the world to have legislated to protect the interests of future generations. Of course, we've soared past the nice goals of climate change. Forget 1.5 degrees, we're beyond switching off the lights. We've rendered the transition to electric cars as insignificant. Now the action we take is about saving as many lives from climate change as possible, saving as much land as possible. It's about saving those that we can. And we must ask ourselves, why haven't we woken up? Why our leaders continue to make decisions that damage our environment, why big business continues to invest in fossil fuels. Is it because climate change is mostly killing people away from our shores? Because it's killing women? Because it's killing people from ethnic minority communities? Because it is not our land that has lost the battle with the rising sea? So what will it take? More lives lost, more homes destroyed? Or will it be when climate starts to hurt the wallets of the powerful? We must have a fundamental change in the way we think and the way we act if we're to survive. Systems of government and governance around the world have continued to discount the interests of future generations, and arguably that's why we're in the middle of this climate catastrophe. In Wales, however, whilst we're not perfect, we are starting to make big structural changes to create a real change for our future generations. And of course, our industrial heritage in Wales means that we must recognise our historical contribution to climate change. We were once at the forefront of the Industrial Revolution. The first £1 million cheque for coal was signed in the Cardiff Coal Exchange. And to be shipped from the docks in our capital city. The first million of trillions of pounds spent for the benefit of few and to the cost of people and of planet. And now we want to be at the forefront of a low carbon green revolution and go above and beyond for the planet and for those yet to be born. And so whilst we do continue to consume more than our fair share, we have set an aspiration to change this, a plan which is not just set out in policy, which can change from one electoral cycle to the next, but something which is set out in law, which then extends beyond political cycles and requires our governments and all of our institutions in Wales to demonstrate how, when they're taking decisions, they are meeting today's needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So we're the first of only 2 countries in the world to have legislated to protect the interests of future generations, the only country in the world with an independent Future Generations Commissioner to hold our government to account. So how does it work? Well, the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act makes it a legal duty for all of our 44 main public institutions to meet at 7 interconnected long-term wellbeing goals. These are goals about addressing inequality, about putting a new definition of prosperity, which talks about working within planetary boundaries, of protecting our ecosystems, of creating healthy, vibrant, active and cohesive communities, and of us being globally responsible. And so our politicians have to take decisions within that context. They have to demonstrate how they're taking all reasonable steps to meet those wellbeing goals. And they also have to demonstrate that their decisions apply 5 ways of working, that they're looking to the long-term impact of the things that they do, that they're seeking to prevent problems from occurring or from getting worse, that they're integrating their actions, so recognising the knock-on consequences and that everything is connected to everything, that they're collaborating and that they're involving all of our citizens in new ideas and new ways of doing things and finding new solutions for the challenges that we face in Wales. Why is it so important that we have this legislation? Well, imagine if 20 years ago, or perhaps even 10 years ago, if we'd taken evidence on climate change and on the impact that climate change would have on future generations seriously, if we'd rapidly shifted towards renewable energy and acted to address the impact of poorly built and poorly insulated homes had on both our health and our carbon footprint. Would we have hundreds of thousands of people making the daily choice whether to heat or eat in the middle of this cost of living crisis? No, we probably couldn't. What if we built not just houses, but communities with opportunities to walk, talk, to grow, to share, to care? Would we have a loneliness epidemic? Would we be shipping food from one side of the world to the other? Would we have a crisis in care? And it's these big challenges which has really led us to say that there must be a better way of doing things. There must be a better future-focused way where we aim to deliver policy which is not just going to be good for current generations, but is going to be good for future generations too. And we've seen some big changes in the things that are happening here in Wales. Wales is now third in the world for our rates of recycling. We're spending more on addressing the climate crisis than we ever have before. We've set up a climate ministry specifically to do this. We have stopped major road building programmes, the first country in the world, we believe, to have a moratorium on road building, and we're shifting the money that we're saving from building roads into investment in public transport and active travel, which is much better both for the environment and for people and communities. We've launched a basic income pilot where those who are leaving the care system receive an unconditional income to boost their well-being, because we know about the long-term costs of living in poverty. We've introduced a new school curriculum for our children, a curriculum for life, a curriculum which is designed to prepare our children and young people for the future, to create socially, culturally, environmentally and economically literate leaders of the future, one which is based on forest schools, on reconnecting with nature, on focusing on health, physical and mental health and well-being. And in Wales, we're proving that things can and should be done differently. It is possible, and we must fight for others to take this initiative too, and perhaps to follow our lead. One of the biggest challenges we face is the entrenched idea in society that a healthy economy requires continuous growth, a continuous increase in GDP. And for so long, our world has been infatuated with this growth mindset to the detriment of people and a planet. We've been taught that if the arrow on the graph keeps going up, then we're successful, despite what our single-use society does to our planet and the cutthroat economy does to the people that it leaves behind. So we shouldn't be measuring success by development by growth and GDP, but by welfare and by well-being. We need a system that puts the emphasis on a low-carbon, low-waste, regenerative and connected economy that works for everyone. This system must be about boundaries, not growth. It's about balancing the environmental impacts of our lives on Earth whilst ensuring that no one falls below the poverty line. Instead of having an endless goal of growth, it's about everyone consistently thriving. It takes the onus away from profit and monetary gain for the few and puts it on the well-being of the masses. This is a new way of thinking, and it's starting to speed up. Nations around the world are adopting these measures, from New Zealand and their wellbeing budgeting, from our network of institutions for future generations, for those nations who are focusing on delivering the Sustainable Development Goals, for those nations who are leading the way on addressing climate change. And I'm really proud that at a UN level, the UN Secretary General has recently announced that he wants to follow some of the things that Wales is doing and create a declaration for future generations and a UN Special Envoy for future generations. I think that those approaches at a UN level will have a significant opportunity for it to trickle down and become mainstream thinking in every country in the world. But what does this change take? Well, it takes bravery. It means asking ourselves the tough questions and making hard decisions. It means speaking from the heart and standing up for others. It's about standing up for our planet in the face of adversity. It's about using your job to drive change. It's about doing what you say you were going to do. Perhaps for too long, our world leaders have not done that, because the status quo has a really strong pull, and vested interests, of course, are powerful. And so we collectively need to be brave for our children, for our grandchildren, and for our Mother Earth, that is, so we are leaving the world better than we found it. Thank you, diolch yn fawr from Wales, and good luck.